Up and down on yourself.
Everybody here, right next to the project, it's always great day to have so many additions to our work session. We'll start off tonight with the approval of the work session agenda. Mr. Chairman, there is a need to amend the agenda slightly. Need to swap number 1 and 2 under academic achievement. Just need outdoor learning labs to be before the season begins. So, approve the agenda with that one.
All right. Motion to approve the agenda without amendment. I make a motion. Second. All vote for. All vote for.
Okay. At this time, Mr. Eddie Kerr from Crossroads Baptist Church will lead us in our invocation.
Let me say first, I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. Miss Emily said I had a couple of minutes. Let me just say just a word, and then we're going to go right into the prayer. I'm going to read 2 verses of Scripture, and then we're going to have prayer. The Bible says, again, the kingdom of heaven is likened to treasure hid in a field, the which when a man had found, he hideth, and for joy thereof goeth and selleth all that he hath, and buyeth that field. I'm glad that when the Lord comes in a person's heart, it's the truest treasure he'll ever get a hold of. And it's the only thing in this life that just gains in value. And the more you use it, the more it shines on you. And I just want to say that. I appreciate the school system and what it is. And this is where I went to school in Gilmer County. And all my kids and all my grandkids has come to Gilmer County High School. And I appreciate every one of them. But of all the things that you can get in this life, you need to get your peace calling and your election sure with the Lord. That's above all things. And use the gift that God put in your heart. Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this another opportunity, God. How thankful we are just to praise your name, God, and give you the honor and the glory and the praise above all things in this life. I pray, Lord, that you'd look over these around about us, God. These, Lord, I pray that's dealing with the children, Lord, that you'd help them. Give us all patience, God. I pray and understanding. Help us and lead us and guide us along that we might be a help to one another, Lord. Always abounding in our faith, God, and trusting in you. Thank you, Father, for all that you do. Bless this meeting here tonight, Lord. We pray for your presence. And I appreciate the school, Lord, still wanting you to be a part of it, God, and ask us to come to be with them. God, I thank you for all you do, and we thank you for all you do in our lives. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Appreciate it.
Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time I'd like to call Lottie Mitchell to close for presentations and recognitions. I'll let her tell them. We've got several here tonight, so I'll let her do all this here at the honor.
Good evening. Tonight, I have the pleasure of announcing the Young Georgia Author winners from our district. The purpose of the Young Georgia Authors Writing Competition is to encourage students to develop an enthusiasm for and expertise in their writing, to provide a context to celebrate their writing successes, and to recognize student achievements in arts and academics. Our grade level winner entries went on to compete against other district winners in the North Georgia Recent competition. We're going to start with our 12th grade winner because April Black, if you'll come forward, she won the North Georgia Recent district. You'll stand up here. We're going to bring everybody lined up here. April's entry will go on to compete at the state level. Our 11th grade district winner was Chelsea Parker. Our 10th grade winner is Elizabeth Warren. Our 8th grade winner is Tabitha Humber. Delana Keller is our 7th grade winner. Alana Berger grade winner. Okay, now in our elementary, our 5th grade winner is Hope Watkins from Elleday Elementary. Our 4th grade winner is Kellen Carter from Mountain View Elementary. Our 3rd grade winner is Lava Cantrell, and she also received an honorable mention in the North Georgia RESA contest. Our 2nd grade winner is Lakeland Garrett from Clear Creek Elementary. Our 1st grade winner is Hezekiah Richards, who's also from Clear Creek Elementary. And our kindergarten winner is Emma Reed from Mountain View Elementary. You get a picture of all of you. We'll give parents a chance to get a picture. Just scoot in closer. Stand right here. I'm going to give you pictures and I'll let parents have a chance to take some pictures. Okay. Okay, parents, if you want to take a quick picture. Thank you so much. Okay, our next recognition is for some middle school students in MathCon, and I'm going to bring Darcy Bridget up, is going to explain a little bit about this recognition. First, I want to say how appreciative I am for the support, not only of you, but of Ms. Pike was really embraced whenever I went into her in midstream and said, hey, what do you think about this idea of forming an academic math team? And she was like, yes. And she's been so supportive. And even though we kind of hit the ground running and we didn't have a full year, I could not be prouder of this group of kids. We started off with the MathCon, which is what we're going to recognize tonight, and we had 12 middle school students ranked 80% or higher on the national level, which is phenomenal. And I just want to tell them how proud I am of them. And we had another group that competed in math leagues that also ranked 13th in the nation. We came in 13 out of 38 states that were participating that day, even with an uphill battle with a fire alarm. So I was very proud. And Ms. Pike, do you want to come with me? Because I like to hand these to them myself, because I am beyond proud, and I'm hoping that they will all want to continue this as they go up. Participating in MathCon automatically qualifies them for a scholarship whenever they get to the senior level. So this will just keep building and building. We want to build this program up, and we hope that you will continue to support us. I know Ms. Pike will definitely do that. We call the forward, please, ma'am.
Madison Patterson. Salvador Ruiz. Caden Lohman.
He's not here.
Montez. Kimley Thompson. Benjamin Elmore.
We have the 6th grade field trip.
Oh, yeah, we got
On the 6th grade field trip.
Anybody got stuck at Ruby Falls all as well? Alexander Scholl. Lillian Cook. Brewer. And Devin Watkins.
Getting closer, there you go. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
So back in March, on March the 9th, the middle school and the high school band performed at something called Large Group Performance Evaluation. Large Group Performance Evaluation is where the band gets on stage, performs 3 different pieces for a set of judges. They tell us what we can improve on, what we did well, those types of things. And also in that process, they give us a ranking. So the rankings are kind of backwards from what you would think they would be. The scores are 1 to 5, but 1 is the highest you can get. So when Clear Creek Middle School performed, we ended up with 2 2s on stage and a 1 on stage. But I'll tell you what I was most impressed with these kids was that we did something called sight reading also. And sight reading is where you take the band and you're given a piece of music and you have 6 minutes to look at it before you have to perform it in front of the judges. They've never seen this before, never looked at it, never heard of this piece. 6 minutes, here it is, play it for us. And in that competition, we were scored at a 1 or a superior. So I'm very, very proud of these kids. So this time I want to bring up some of the middle school students, if y'all will come up here. These are some of our middle schoolers, our 8th grade leaders. Starting from this side, this is Allie Maya. She plays the French horn in the 8th grade. We have Megan Chester, who's one of our percussionists. We have Valentine Thompson, who was here for District Water Band, by the way, with the same glasses. He plays the trombone, and this is Grant Young, who plays the tuba. So I'm going to give you guys.
Y'all stay right there. And then likewise, the high school also, we competed as well at LGPE. And really, really proud of these guys. This is the 2nd year that they have received superiors on stage. And this year we kind of upped the ante. We went a level higher on our music. Last year we went at a level 5. This year we did a 5-6 split. 6 is kind of the highest level of music that you can take to contest. And they walked away with a superior on that. And then also a superior in sight reading. So I was really, really pleased with the results of that, the hard work they put in. A lot of hours after school, during school, and a lot of practice, you know, and a lot of stress for some of them. You know, they kind of stress over it, which is great because, you know, it's good for them. They dig in deep, and so they walked away with a great result. So I'd like to bring up Dakota Brown, Ashley Lopez, and Alba Maragateas, our drum majors, kind of representing the high school band here for this award today.
Take a few pictures and I'll let Karen take a few. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Is that all?
Yes, that's all the recommendations. We have some more Thursday night.
Okay, so that's
Thursday night, we have more and a performance.
literally folks. Thank you. Congratulations to all of our recognition recipients. Superior ratings on 5-6 split is good. All right, so on the consent items. Mr. Chairman, consent items are listed for board consideration for regular session on April 14th. Subject to the wish of the board, we can add or remove items from the consent agenda later as needed in preparation for the meeting. They are the minutes from 3/14/22 work executive sessions, 3/17/22 regular session, 3/18/22 board retreat. And also have out of state overnight field trips, which you can find in the folders. On the superintendent, if you have any questions about this, on the superintendent's report, the first area under the report following our strategic plan is academic achievement. And at this time, I call up Linda Patterson to talk about outdoor learning labs. She's going to present a summary of some federal grant expenditures concerning outdoor learning labs. These are exempt from policy BJED and do not require approval. This is just for your information only since they will be visible.
Good evening. Tonight I want to share about our intent to build outdoor learning labs at 7 of our facilities. I have met with our school administrators and district personnel to discuss ideas and various plans for each building. The intent and purpose of this project is to provide open-air instructional spaces for student use. These additional spaces will allow for students to participate in instructional lessons and learning outside the regular classroom. Our discussion and research has led to creative spaces with components of learning labs focusing on social and emotional needs of students and aspects of STEM. From our ESSER funds, we have allocated approximately $215,000 per building for this project that will cover construction of pavilions and multi-purpose areas for 5 schools, the Larry Walker Education Center, and the Agricultural Complex. This project is an allowable use under the provision of school facility repairs and improvements to enable operation of schools, to reduce risk of virus transmission and exposure to environmental health hazards, and to support student health needs. Our plan has been submitted and approved by the Georgia Department of Education. Mr. Sosby and Mr. Berry are working with the principals to identify the specific needs of the schools, as well as the location for the outdoor learning areas and building aesthetics. We want to ensure these areas are visibly pleasing, long-lasting, and still usable after our grant funds have been exhausted.
All we just did, well, how big are the buildings we just talked about? We'll have a park place in it.
No fireplaces.
I ain't stay warm in the winter.
We're doing something on that side.
Okay. Either anything or construction, once the high school can help out on this for a project, or if it can go like paper.
We're wanting to do, we talked about doing metal picnic tables instead of the wood picnic tables, so I'm not sure if that is.
But that's something we could explore. There's things
Absolutely.
they're able to contribute. Sure. Seven one. Thank you, Ms. Patterson. All right, next up, we have Mr. Burnett, who's going to come up and tell us a little bit about Clear Creek Elementary School.
Actually, Ms. Burnett's not going to do very much talking. I have several guests that are peering through the window and just waiting their turn. But we appreciate the opportunity to come tonight and just share a few things about something that we presented to you all last year. A group of 5th graders who are currently now at Clear Creek Middle School proposed that we would have an opportunity to have a STEM lab, which would have been the first STEM lab in an elementary setting. And you guys heard, and they had the research, they had everything behind what we needed, and we were granted that STEM lab. And we just want to first of all say thank you for listening to the students and giving us that opportunity to have a STEM lab. So we have one student who was with us last year as the proposal, but we have another group of students who are here tonight just to kind of show you a few things as to what happens in the STEM lab. We do have Miss Ellis, Miss Patricia Ellis. She is our STEM teacher. So at this point, I'm just going to turn it over to Miss Ellis and this amazing group of students.
We'd like to start with the video that we have made so you guys can hear and see the excitement the kids have every day for the STEM lab.
Thank you.
conversations. The kids are very excited every day to come to the STEM lab. These fifth graders are here today to show you guys some things that we have done in the STEM lab this year. They're very excited to share it with you. You guys ready? We're starting out here on this end.
We use our circuits we made in the STEM lab, and this is what they do. So my circuit has a fan that spins around, and it also says how many volts of energy is coming through the circuit. And some lights last night. In this circuit, there is an egg that lights up, and it is yellow right now. And then when you flip it around, it becomes red. And then over here, you turn on the fan, and it lights up. And then over here, when you mash the button, it makes a loud beep.
We had to create a boat using 8 items from the makerspace that would hold 11 passengers, which were pennies, and wouldn't sink when Ms. Ellis used the hairdryer to imitate a hurricane. We had lunchbox alarms to figure out who steals the teacher lunchboxes. I had to build a bridge out of uncooked spaghetti noodles. The bridge had a span a distance of 7 inches and supported plastic outboard.
We had to use using the makerspace. We had to create something that could a package that so like if an angry mailman driver. I'm sorry.
A package holding a sucker that can be delivered by an angry delivery driver. How do you survive? We did this at Valentine's Day, and it was called Don't Break My Heart.
And don't worry, there's no angry drivers.
We had a huge discussion on which delivery company was best, UPS, all that.
We use our coding robots to code a synchronized dance.
As you can see, it didn't always work perfectly, but it was fun.
It's a new, everything's an adventure every single week in our STEM lab, and we're very grateful to have it. So, thank you all.
Thank you.
for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Burnett, and all your students, it was a fantastic presentation. Next up, we'll move on to parent community engagement. We'll make a quick announcement about our family literacy night. It's scheduled for April 29th from 6 to 8 on the GHS football field. There will be a variety of booths from all 5 schools with activities for children of all ages, and children will receive free books. There will also be numerous community partners at the event. A flyer will be posted soon with additional details. We want to invite our entire community to join us on April 29th. Next area, following our strategic plan, we have high-performing culture and workforce. And under that, all we have is personnel. So, Mr. Chairman, we'll discuss hiring recommendations and compensation later in executive session. We don't have very much this month. Next up, we have operational effectiveness. First thing we have under there is capital asset disposition. So in your folders, you should have that paperwork. Do you have any questions about what that is? Mr. Barry, is there anything on there besides the two trucks?
No, sir, that's it.
That's it? Okay.
Dr. Ridley, can you explain this? This is new to me. I haven't seen this.
Okay, Mr. Barry, would you mind explaining the disposition sheet?
Yes, sir. Anytime that we have any item, whether it be a vehicle or other, that have outlived its useful life, or in this case, they're just sitting and rusting away and are not worthy of fixing, we want to make sure that we're tracking all of our assets from the start of its useful life to the end of it. And so we would just want to be really transparent when we acquire it and when we get rid of it, so we have a record that runs from start to finish, so we know the life product that it served for us, and then whatever we do with it from there. If it's something that we can send to auction, we would do that. These, we'd be hard pressed to get a tow truck to come and take them. They're not worth the scrap. They've been sitting around and just rotting on us, so we want to declare that, jump those two vehicles out. The other bus, like our buses that have anywhere from 150 to 200,000 miles of that we just that we dispose of, we actually send those to auction. We take those funds and put it back into the system again. That's all tracked as well. But these two particular pieces just are not worth anything.
Essentially, once the board or I authorize the purchase of a capital asset, before we can get rid of it, you guys have to approve the surplus.
It's really to make sure that the board is aware of everything, what we're doing with our property, being stewards of our dollars, and making sure that we track everything from start to finish.
This also alerts finance. We have to make journal entries, book entries to remove these, to add these. So this is our trigger to actually make a journal entry.
And like, for instance, this also goes to, we just renewed our insurance wing on the quote to come back. When we get these disposition sheets, we're able to pull that off of our bid list. And when we send in our quote for our insurance, this year I think we have 7, we reduced our fleet by old vehicles that we were paying insurance on that really are not worthy any longer. So we just reduced our insurance costs for the next full solid year by 7 vehicles. So this is another way to catch that and make sure that we're not missing those.
Yeah, because since we own those vehicles, we pay insurance on the vehicles.
So that'll be two vehicles that are off of our insurance bill now too.
So they just go to the crusher? Or we just hold on to them?
That's probably where they're headed. if we can get them there.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up, we have the gas tanks for Legion Road. We had that plan in the works for a while. We got 2 bids in your packet, we finally got finalized today. One of them is for $230,371.23, and the other one is for $97,810. You'll notice that the first bid looks a little bit more detailed than it does until you read it, and it's basically a listing of the parts of the equipment. So it's a big difference. My intent on Thursday would be to probably recommend the $97,800 bid. Get that project underway. I've already authorized the removal of old tanks at the high school transportation department. That came in about $13,000. We're not required approval. Y'all have any questions about that? So it's a lot of information in that one bid.
Yeah, these 10,000 gallon tanks, they got self-contained, in case it's spilled or something.
Yes, sir, those will be above ground, there'll be a split, like within, that's what we're looking at our numbers to make sure it can be a 6,000 diesel, 4,000 gas, or 8,000 diesel, 2,000 gas, and that'll be housed down at the Legion Road Annex.
We'll keep gas in it?
Sir?
Are we keeping gas down the Legion or just?
We will, we'll have gas and diesel both down there.
Yeah, gas and diesel both.
Gas is real, gas is hard to, gotta be careful with gas, diesel.
Oh, yeah.
And we're digging them tanks up there and everything for $13,000.
So they,
I thought we told me it was gonna cost like a lot to get rid of them tanks up there. Dig all that, because the environmental stuff. Most taking so much dirt. They take all that up.
did we have a different bid?
The original bid from the same company was 8,600, that was 6 months ago, 8 months ago?
Yeah, or longer than that, yeah.
And so those costs keep going up, but the EPA pays to visit out there for the tanks that are currently up there. So we're following their guidelines and recommendation on tank removal. We could explore filling with sand like they did at the ones that are heavy.
I mean, we get if they know that kind of price, I just thought it would be a lot higher, some contamination.
Candidly, so did we, and we actually went back to them repeatedly to verify the cost of that, and they came back every time with the same number.
Sounds pretty cheap.
I was a little surprised.
Did we get, look at it, time all right, yeah, we did that.
Well, and before we move forward, just so we're clear, I'm going to make sure it's a fixed bid and they can't come back to us with any additional numbers, et cetera. So we'll make sure that that's part of the actual work, scope of work to be completed.
That's removal and getting rid of them, I mean,
Yes, sir.
everything. Nothing
Yes, sir.
else.
We've actually tried to empty it as much as possible in the last couple of months. Are we getting pretty close to getting empty?
We are. Sam, what are we down to now? I think we're down to
For about 300 in diesel and less than 1,000 in gasoline.
I would point out that that bid for that 13,000, that's the same individual, I believe, that's doing the tanks for the 97. So there's some, I think there's some give back on that as well.
All right. Moving on, under policies. These are our current policies that are part of our consistent revision process. They will be posted on the GCSS website as part of public review and comment before second reading at the Board of Education work session next month. Subject to feedback and public deliberations, these will be voted on at the regular session next month. First reading policies are policy DFC, federal funds, policy FGA, architect responsibilities and facilities project, and policy GCRH, classified personnel vacations. Our second reading policies have been posted on the district website since our work session last month and submitted to GSBA legal counsel for review. We have received no public feedback on these policies, but we did receive recommendations from GSBA legal counsel for policy JB, student attendance, to remove the STEP program, that's a student teen election participant program, as part of the attendance policy. And the policies for second read are policy DIE, fraud prevention, policy EBBF, safety inspections, policy JB, student attendance, policy JBC1, homeless students. Remember last month I told you that we would probably be making some revisions to student attendance. We've decided that we want to handle those by making, we can do it within the policy we have and just making revisions to our protocol. So we're currently working with the local authorities to revise that student attendance policy to help get our kids to school. So on Thursday, I'll recommend these policies be approved. Do y'all have any questions? All right, next up we have fiscal accountability. So Ms. Parker will come up and give us our February 2022 school nutrition report. Oh, she not here?
I'll do it.
You want to do it? Okay.
She's got a pinch hit.
Yeah. Good evening. You have your school nutrition report for the month of February, and our total revenues for the month were $311,509. Our expenditures for the month were $197,747, leaving us with an excess of revenues over expenditures of $113,000, and our ending fund balance or net worth, as they call it in food nutrition, is $1,552,831. Our fund balance has been increasing, and she's been talking about each month because of the participation. And as we go forward, we'll have some summer months where school nutrition, they continue to pay their employees throughout the year without much revenue. Our seamless summer, we hope to break even on that. It's not a generating of income. And on our fund balance, the state likes us to keep that at a certain level, so she is looking at expanding some of the serving lines and some of the expenditure replacements. I think she's got some coolers that she's going to be replacing, so they'll be spending, probably $40,000 or $50,000 by the end of the year to try to get some new equipment and replace some of the older, expand. I think she's looking at a sandwich line at the middle school. So they do have a plan for all of this, and I know she's still awaiting the information to see about the federal covering of the lunches for next year. That's one of the big ones that we're awaiting, guidance on. Any questions on this?
On the athletic supplements, we provided the information on the revision for athletic supplements. Last week's y'all would look it over and have a few days to ask some questions, and we did. I wanted to mention that the supplement increase, unless something has changed from this morning, Ms. Finley, we're still good on the numbers we had this morning, right? On the athletic supplements. Okay. 26,000 in supplement increases. And Mr. Flinder called me over the break and wanted to know what the approximate cost in days would be. That number is about 23,000. That's an approximate because we're based on that on average daily rate of $350 per day. Add to that 30% in benefits. So what you're looking at is this year you are spending $313,200 on supplements and days. Next year you would spend $362,150 on supplements and days without benefits. So with benefits, it is a net increase of $65,000 approximately. Y'all have any questions about anything that I've given?
Yeah, we talked about this also. We're not just gonna give one lump sum of money to the coach and pick it. If he got 3 coaches down, he got half 3 coaches. If you don't got that third coach, you don't get that sum by the one of the others that do.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that were changed, or
Okay.
the proposed change, I should say.
Okay.
I could send them in the column four the same and highlight it after it is next year.
So that again, I'm sorry.
In 2021, and 22, I suppose it's, and some of the numbers stay the same, they're highlighted. And some changed.
Oh, like golf?
Yes. Right.
Dr. Ridley,
Yes.
if I may speak.
Yes, yeah.
Gentlemen, that's probably because of my ineptitude in terms of highlighting some of it. It didn't need to be highlighted. It doesn't mean there is no significance to the highlighted or non-highlighted numbers, and that was a mistake. I was hoping that somebody would have corrected that. I apologize for that before getting to y'all.
Okay. I noticed tennis, like that, the track, got some improvements.
I will say this, if my memory serves me correctly, it's been a little while since I've looked at this since our meeting on the workday. Some of those supplements, we have one coach there are two supplements. For example, tennis, there's a men's and a women's supplement. We have one head tennis coach, and that coach is receiving both head coaching supplements. That may have been part of the highlighting.
Oh, okay.
To let us know that one coach is getting both supplements. That's how it had been operating.
Golf coach, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, yeah.
Correct.
As part of the work process, that's the highlighting the ones that we needed to address.
Okay.
Over in the FY, or the school year 23, you'll see the purple. It's hard to see on, if you have the color printout, but you'll see it has plus 200. You can see the changes that are proposed for there in that SY 23. But the highlighted ones are the ones we used as part of the discussions we were working through this. This is an actual Word document. It's a live Word document that we're working on.
That was done so that y'all would know that prior to my being hired, we had one head coach for several of our minor revenue producing sports. Not minor sports, minor revenue producing sports. And I wanted y'all to know that until that policy changes, until we have two tennis coaches or two golf coaches, that one individual is receiving both supplements for head women's and head men's in that particular sport.
Which is fine, we have nothing to do with this question, right?
No, sir.
Okay.
That might have been why it might have been highlighted.
Okay. It looks like that's who it is. Swimming, golf.
So, Dr. Ridley, that was $362,000, that does not include the benefits, correct?
That does not.
Okay, does all this come from local funds?
Yes.
Everything is coming from local funds. Okay. So what kind of parameters do we use to base whether or not a coach gets 20 days versus 5 days? And you know, when I look at it, some of the weeks are very similar, the number of weeks in the season, but the number of days doesn't.
That's what we just think.
Again, may I speak to that?
Come on, no.
Thank y'all. Mr. Fluker, those days were passed by the board prior to my being employed. The only thing I'm proposing is additional days for coaches who were not getting days for their work in the summer. And if you'll notice that those days that have been requested by me are those of fall sport coaches who are required to work in the summer because their first competition could be the first week of school. Therefore, they are, I'm not going to say they're required, but they better be working in the summer for that fall sport in the month of July. So if you'll notice that the only people that were getting days, again, this was passed by this board prior to my being employed, were head coaches and assistant football coaches. I'm trying, as I talked to y'all at the workday, that I was trying to get equity within the sports, and that I felt that it to be equitable to all of the fall sport assistant coaches. That would be volleyball and softball. that those coaches should, assistant coaches should also receive compensation of additional days for their work in the summer. I just felt that was,
So if it's not, if there's not a day under the increase or decrease, that was a day that was already in the scheme.
that is correct. That is correct. So there were days that had already been approved by this board before my hiring. So the 20 days for a particular sport, that was there prior to, I took this set of supplements and felt like that we had some inequities within the sports. Within a sport, you had an assistant coach that was getting paid a lot more, and another assistant within that same sport getting paid a lot less for the same job. Not varsity and sub-varsity, all varsity coaches. I felt like that was something that needed to be addressed, along with the days of additional days for their work in the summer that they are required to do because of it being a fall sport.
I think, I'll be the first to admit, our coaches do an amazing job. It kind of muddies the water in my mind when I see this amount that we're paying for their supplement, and then we add days on top of that. You know, in my mind, I would just like to see one amount, one total amount. That's just me.
And that's why I want to be totally transparent about telling you what the days are, because in many districts, they'll just approve this, and the days are just, like discussed. So, know exactly what you should.
That's also why we're using that document. That's actually the work document that we worked off of. We didn't want to polish something up and hand it out, but to see exactly where our train of thought was from year to year and the number of days being added, and then be able to explain that. So we're working from that live.
So the first 3 columns were already in place.
Well, we actually did have a county athletic director from 2018 to 21.
Well, correct. I didn't have that, I wasn't privy to that one, right?
Right.
I did not know. I took this document that was given to me and worked from that along with Mr. Berry and Mrs. Fowler. We worked on this, as I talked about, and this was all, discussed in that workday, the process that we went through. And,
Now, on here, well, this is something I can.
Anybody else got a question? If there are no questions, we'll move on to the next thing. Next up, we discussed briefly previous meetings about the governor's $2,000 bonus. That passed, that's coming through. But as the state is want to do, they sometimes promise things and make us pay for them. So they covered 458 of our 559 employees for a total of $916,000. That's what we'll receive to provide these bonuses. Pre-K has 12 employees. They provided $24,000 for that bonus. That leaves 89 non-covered employees, which would cost us $171,940 for a total of $1,111,940. We had also suggested the idea of graduating our subs, since they are our employees, and Trina came up with a scheme where if they work 10 or more days, they can earn a $250. If there's a base level, it's $500, next level, up to $1,000 bonus, depending on how many days they work with us, since this is a retention bonus. And we provide that information for you, which would bring the total, that was only $31,000 cost, which would bring the total cost for the whole thing, including all sources, $1,143,609. And the funding will come from CARES to fill in our claim, correct? So, you guys have any questions about that, particularly the sub bonus?
How much, $2,000 loans?
Yes, sir.
Now, something I called and asked you about, paint sound, things say that the teachers that they're getting $2,000 raise.
Okay.
That's separate from this, like we found out, they get a $2,000 bonus now, and next year they give a $2,000 raise.
Yes, see, and it's confusing the way they did it, because what they did is
That's
they
the
went
same
back,
thing. So,
they went back and they amended this year's budget to include this $2,000 bonus. And in next year's budget, they included a $2,000 increase in pay scale.
Pay scale, pay scale.
me and my wife was arguing, I said, no, it's a $2,000 bonus. She said, it says a raise, and she goes, looks it up.
And
It says a raise, then she goes back and looks at the other one, email says it's bonus, and I said, see, it's a bonus.
Well, with so much information out there in the media around this, it can be real confusing for, and even those of us who work here, because there was so much information out there, and so much information that was not given to us.
But when your wife tells you you're right, she's wrong, can you go back and change?
That's a moment you should share. A moment you should share.
I made it repeat it twice. They come find out both of us right.
The portion that the employees that they're not covering, we can cover that with CARES Act, right?
Yes, sir. And that was the $171,000 plus the 31%.
It's,
Oh, no, no.
Michael, it's very confusing. They
Yeah.
covered a certain number of bus drivers, that left a few uncovered.
Okay.
It was basically by the state allotment. They covered most all the teachers, but there was, 5 that was not covered. So do we not give those 5 a bonus? But, we had to go by what the state allotment said.
Okay.
So they covered, 1 assistant superintendent. They did not cover all of the food service. They covered most of them, but there's positions that were funded, but they weren't funded 100%. And then they did not cover any of like your school clerical. None of those were covered at all in the
Lonnie and Dana would have
seniority. No finance director either.
Ladies first, ladies first.
Gotcha. So, there's been a lot of information, a lot of misinformation, a lot of just flat incorrect information out there. And yes, it's very confusing. It's a $2,000 bonus for this year and a $2,000 raise for next year. Any questions about that? All right, now we'll do our budget update. So, Ms. Gilmer, please come on up.
So we have our purchasing policy expenditures over $10,000. And all of this listed here, we have a purchase order deadline that was last Friday. So we're still finalizing everything that was in process of last Friday. Will be coming through shortly. So you're going to see this is a little longer than normal. Next month will probably be even a little longer. But we're wrapping up the year, increasing some technology Chromebooks. These are some of the grant funds for the outdoor or for the learning labs through special education that Jessica presented a couple of months ago. Some of the things you've already talked about, the tank removals and so forth. So these are just for your information purposes only. With all of our POs over $10,000.
on to the financial, go ahead, sorry.
Can you elaborate a little bit on the computers that were put in the LWEC? It looks like the funding source appears. Is that for a new computer lab, or is that for?
Which one is that?
It's about half, well, it's about a third of the way down. It's $173,000.
Oh, at the Larry Walker Center.
That is not a question. I have
Yes,
to
that is-
see what that is. Can we get back to you with that? Sure.
Yes. And this could be for multiple, and we just, you know, whoever was putting the purchase order into the spreadsheet may only put the Larry Walker Center, that,
How about it?
yeah. We usually do it by schools, you know, you see on there, but they usually are school, but any other questions? Sorry about that.
How much was it?
It's $173,000. It says computer at the Larry Walker Education Center.
Yes, it's PO number 49518.
I'll look it up tomorrow.
And I can pull more detail, pull the actual video and look at it too. Okay, so we have the financial summary for February, 8 months complete, and that's 66.66% of the year complete. Our total revenues for the year-to-date period were $33,360,000, and that's 83.46% of our budgeted revenues. Our local tax revenues were $18,762,000, and that's 101.26% of our budgeted tax revenue, and that is well above budget already. And as I had discussed earlier, I think we talked about our transfer tax, that's up roughly 30%, probably going to increase more. Our title ad valorem is up about 24–25% right now. So, our total expenditures, $26,879,000, 67.17%, and year-to-date, we have an excess of revenue over expenditures of $6.4 million. We did not have any East Plus expenditures in our 2020 or our 2015 for the month. Our 2020 East Plus collection for the month of February, we collected $559,438, and that's $1,943 more than last month and $75,000 more than last year. I know, every month. Good news so far. Is there any questions on any of this? Thank you.
All right, finally, under announcements and comments, I want to mention the call for our new stadium scoreboard was set today. Installation is off to a great start. They didn't get rock when they drilled the hole, so that saves us a little money right there. And finally, the Ellen J. Elementary School Chorus is going to be singing the national anthem at the Braves game tonight at 7:15. So everybody be able to tune in. We're still here at 7:15. Public participation, according to policy BCBI-R1, and as a final agenda item at the board work sessions, it will be the intent of the board to allow input solely on agenda items from those in attendance. All presentations to the board are to be brief and are intended to the board to hear comments or concerns without taking action. All other time limits and topic restrictions remain in effect. Is there anyone here for public participation? Mr. Chairman, make a recommendation the board move into executive session and discuss personnel, litigation, and real estate. No action will be taken following the executive session.
That's a motion, go to executive session.
Make a motion.
Second. All vote for it. All vote for it.